Joining me now, Senator Bob Casey, Democrat of Pennsylvania, currently seeking re-election. Senator, thanks for joining us. I know you participated earlier today in a Juneteenth event in Philadelphia, and we talked earlier about Donald Trump's itinerary yesterday in Michigan, where he courted black voters in name only at a black church because it was not a mostly black audience. But he only later went to be the draw at a conference of the far-right group, Turning Point USA, which the Anti-Defamation League says is a magnet for white supremacists. Meanwhile, President Biden was teaming up last night with his former boss, Barack Obama, for another record-breaking fundraiser. Contrast what this weekend says about the two campaigns right now.
Well, Reverend Al, thanks for having me on, and thanks for accommodating our schedule. We were running late from the Juneteenth parade in Philly and driving up to Scranton. But I think the contrast is evident. Look, on our side, when we talk about the issues that we're focusing on Juneteenth, among others, whether it's democracy and voting rights, whether it's women's rights, workers' rights, and basic issues of justice, I think on our side, and I'm going to be able to say this as a candidate, we've delivered over and over again, but we know we have more work to do. And the contrast couldn't be clearer on voting rights. Every Democratic senator will vote yes on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and other voting rights measures. My opponent and the presidential candidate, Donald Trump, won't support those measures. When it comes to basic economic issues, whether it's lifting up families with the child tax credit or fighting back against corporate greed and greedflation, when these big food companies and other big corporations are jacking up prices, which hurts low-income folks and middle-class folks, we're the ones who are trying to pass a price gouging bill to fight back against it. But I think the contrast couldn't be clearer. Yeah. But every one of us running has to earn the votes of all the people who are going to be casting votes, and I'm going to be working hard to do that in my race.
Now, voter frustration over inflation continues to drag on the president's reelection bid. You've emerged as the loudest voice in the Senate on inflation, but specifically what you call greedflation, where corporations artificially jack up their prices to maximize profits, and also what you call shrinkflation, where Americans are spending the same, if not more, to buy less quantity. How are you and Senate Democrats trying to hold this in check?
Well, Reverend Al, I think a lot of folks who are living in low-income neighborhoods and even middle-class neighborhoods have seen this for years, where corporations have jacked up their prices way beyond cost. In fact, between July of 20 and July of 22, corporate profits were up 75% in America. That's 5 times the rate of inflation. And that's what you call greedflation, taking advantage of difficult circumstances during and after the pandemic. The only way to stop them is, number one, to point it out. Number two, to pass a price gouging bill so the Federal Trade Commission can go after them, but they don't have the authority to do that now. And we need Republican senators to support us on this. One way to get them to support us is to make sure we win the election, because this election will give us some rocket fuel on passing a price gouging bill. And then thirdly, to roll back their big corporate tax breaks. If they got these big corporate tax breaks and all they did was have stock buybacks and jack up their prices to the detriment of families.
Now, Pennsylvania is expected to be a difference maker in this election, both for the Biden campaign and for Democrats' hope to retain the Senate. You have your own Senate race against Republican Dave McCormick. How would you describe the state of that race and where Pennsylvania fits in the overall electoral picture in 2024?
Well, it's very close. Our race is close, a few points, and the presidential race is close. And so really, in so many ways, it's all on the line in Pennsylvania for the Electoral College to win, for President Biden, Vice President Harris to win, and for me to win to help retain a Senate majority. You know, we can't lose any Senate races this year. We have to win all of them. So I'm really grateful for the support we've received all across our state, especially from low-dollar donors who are given $20 a week or $50 a month or something like that. But we need to maintain that support because, Reverend Al, my opponent is worth a couple $100 million. He's got a super PAC that's already announced not just that they're going to spend $30 million starting in July, but it's going to be all attack ads. So we know what's coming. So if you want to help us win this Senate race to maintain the majority and help President Biden win the state, please go to bobcasey.com.
I know that your campaign just launched its outreach to Pennsylvania's seniors. President Biden is also heavily courting senior voters nationally, who many polls show to favor the president over Donald Trump. And Dr. Jill Biden is also out on the trail as her husband's campaign opened its seniors for Biden-Harris push in battleground states. Older voters have favored Republicans for the last half century. What's different about this election, Senator?
Well, because I think we know the Republican track record. When they have power, when they have the presidency, and when they have a Senate majority or House majority, what do? They try to privatize Social Security, they try to voucherize Medicare, and they try to decimate Medicaid. All three are critically important to seniors. The first two, of course, are earned benefits, Social Security and Medicare. We've got to make sure that we strengthen and protect Social Security and Medicare. Republicans want to undermine both. And when it comes to Medicaid, it may not be an earned benefit, but it tells us who we are. We're a country that's supposed to take care of kids that live in rural areas and big cities who need health care. And it's also the program that allows families to get a loved one into skilled care, into a nursing home. So we've got to fight hard against Republican efforts to cut programs like Medicare and Medicaid and turn the Social Security program into a privatized venture. We've got to stop them, but it's all on the line in this race.
All right, Senator Bob Casey, thank you for being with us.